Our government agencies have managed to hide the reality of the UFO phenomenon simply by refusing to discuss the massive amount of evidence supporting it. With respect to what occurred with our most advanced missiles in 1967, the Air Force admitted the high improbability of the events. They were able to isolate the cause of the shutdowns to a particular piece of equipment, the guidance and control system logic coupler, and a particular signal that would have been sent to that piece of equipment in order to upset the guidance system and thereby disable each missile. However, each of the missiles are independent of each other. That particular signal would have had to be sent to each missile by penetrating 60 feet of earth and concrete and then penetrating cable shielded against electromagnetic interference with triple redundancy to all 10 missiles within 10 seconds of each other. We certainly did not have the technology to produce such a result or such an advanced flying object in 1967. If we had, it would have certainly been revealed by now. 50 years later, the only reasonable conclusion is that these objects were of extraterrestrial origin. There was another incident at Malmstrom that I think further justifies this conclusion. I have had contact with another witness for many years. Because of employment concerns, he chose not to reveal his name publicly. I consider him highly credible. I'll call him Tex. Here's his story. After the Echo flight shut down, he was on a targeting crew that was sent to restart the missiles that had been disabled. While Tex was in the maintenance bay at one of the sites, shown here, going through his startup procedures, the guard signaled him to come topside. The guard was frightened and pointed to an orange ball of light directly above the site. Tex told the guard to report it, and undeterred, he then proceeded to continue his startup procedure. While going through this procedure with the object hovering above, he would arrive at a particular point in his checklist and the missile systems would shut down. He repeated this process many times and the systems would shut down each time he reached that particular point in his checklist. He was only able to complete the startup procedure when the orange ball left. He also stated that while the object was overhead, he could sense something he described as a rope of static electricity coming down the launch tube. He further concluded that the object must have been closely monitoring his procedures and had an in-depth understanding of how the missile systems worked in order to effect the shutdowns exactly at the time he completed certain checkpoints and during multiple repetitions of those procedures. For him, it was a clear display of their knowledge. In 2013, four of us ex-Air Force testified before a mock uh, congressional hearing, but the people that we testified to were ex-representatives in the U.S. Congress and one senator. I think we changed a lot of minds on that day. I'll give a brief summary here of their testimonies. However, it's far from complete, and I recommend that you listen to their entire testimonies. This is Captain David Shindell. In 1966, he was stationed at Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota. Uh, when he went on duty that day, he relieved the crew and noticed that all 10 missiles had been disabled. He asked the crew about it that he relieved, and of course, they told him that UFO had been overhead when these missiles went down. This was later confirmed by the guards upstairs, and actually there were reports in the newspapers to that effect. This may have been the incident that Timothy Good referred to in his book Above Top Secret when he mentioned the shutdowns in 1966. This is David Scott. In 1974, November 74, he was stationed at, again, Minot Air Force Base, and he acted as a security guard on one night after being sent to one of the launch facilities because of an intrusion light at one of the launch facilities. He observed a glowing red object hovering above the site. When he returned to the main base, launch control center rather, he was told by his main security guard that many of the intrusion alarms throughout the wing had gone off at exactly the same time. This is Captain Brieux Spencer in 1976. He was stationed as a missile crew commander at Francis E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming. He testified that on a particular night he had two security guards out in the field checking launch facilities when they observed this glowing light directly above his launch control facility. Later, the UFOs went to other launch facilities and again were observed by the security guards. I think it is long past time to have an honest and open dialogue about this very real phenomenon. If our Congress would simply hold hearings on the evidence available from public testimony on the reality of the UFO phenomenon, that evidence would be overwhelming. I've sent my congressmen and senators a message today with links to these videos. I hope you'll do the same. Thanks.